Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're not quite getting into our main objectives here in our summer course for game hacking. We're still doing a little bit of investigation and the tools we can use in order to hack this game. Today, we're going to talk about a utility called Cheat Engine, which is a memory scanning utility that we can attach to our client process, which will allow us to edit variables in memory. So anything, any values that are held on the client side we'll be able to adjust. Now, with MMOs, with online games, this is a dicey proposition. With offline games, this is obviously not a problem, right? Everything is going to be held on the client side. There's no server, so everything is held within the game itself, and editing those properties isn't a big deal. With client server games, with online games, then variables can be held in memory locally by the client, but validated up at the server or variables can be held up at the server and retrieved by the client. So, for example, like in-game currency isn't necessarily something that's ever held on the client side. That might be a server side thing, and there's a number of coins that are attached to a character or an account, and it's delivered upon request when a function on the player interacts with something that requires currency. So that's true also of Pwn Adventure 3. I believe that there are certain things that are done server side, or certain validations that are done on server side, that make any editing of any variables on the client side moot. But I know for a fact that that's not true for everything, because last semester I was able to successfully give myself infinite mana and infinite ammo without too much of a challenge. So that's where we're going to start today. And we're going to give ourselves infinite mana and infinite ammo because it's just a quality of life improvement, just like our speed hack, right? It just helps to have that out there. So I am currently logged in to the client. I do have my AK-47. I've got a clip that holds 30 rounds. I've got 81 in reserve. So there's a couple of things that we can do using Cheat Engine. There's actually some. It's actually a very powerful tool. And there's a couple of other ones we could use for stuff like this, but we're just going to start with Cheat Engine because it's just a great utility. So I have 30 rounds in my magazine right now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Cheat Engine, and we're going to select a process to open, and I'm going to attach this to our Pwn Adventure 3 clients. I'm just going to select it from a list of processes that are running. And now we can see here we have Pwn Adventure 3 Win32 shipping.exe. That's what we're looking for. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to start by searching in memory for the variable that holds the amount of ammo that I currently have. And I have currently 30 rounds in this magazine. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to search for the value 30. I don't know what kind of variable that is. It could be, I mean, it's 30, so it could be an integer, could be a float. I don't know, it could be anything. But I'm going to assume at this type that it is an integer, or at least is held as a raw value of 3 and 0 somewhere in memory. I'm going to assume that it is a 4-byte, although I could change it. It could be a string, right? It might just literally be a string, and then it's somehow, I don't know at this point. I'm just going to search and see what I get back. Memory scan options, we're going to search for all for now. We don't need to complicate things. Everything that's writable, we'll do a fast scan, sure. Pause the game while scanning. No, we're not going to do that. So let's do a scan. And what we get back is 19,975 addresses that contain that value of 30. Any one of these 20,000 nearly addresses could contain the variable of our current ammo reserve. And indeed, what's most likely is that several of them do, because it's not just going to be one address that's going to hold a variable, and one address might not be able to contain an entire variable. And so it may span across multiple addresses, So what we need to do is we need to narrow this down a little bit. And so we're going to do that by going back into the game and using up some of that 30 ammo reserve. So if I click back in, I use up one bullet. Now I'm at 29, 28, and 27. Let's come back. And let's search compared to the first scan, right? So compared to 30, it will be decreased. And we'll click next scan. And now we have 223 addresses. So that's much less than we had before. None of these contain the current value we have here of 27. So let's see what we can do here. We've got some of them that are fluctuating. And that's actually good for us. So we will compare it to the previous scan. No, we're going to compare it to the first scan again. We want to fix this value. And it will be... No, we're gonna get rid of compare to first scan, and we're going to, it should be unchanged compared to the last scan. We still have 140 or so. So let's compare this to, oh, here we have the value of 28. Oh, that's, sorry, we're at 27. Although when you're looking at the value of variables, you do have to be careful because of the way arrays are stored sometimes. Bullet number 1 might be bullet 0, right? However, I don't think this is it. So we only have 140. Let's do a quick scan here. So here's 27. This is 27. This is 27. I only see 4 or so that contain 27. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start doing a process of elimination type thing. All right, so we're going to go down here, and I'm going to add, just double-click to add this one. Double-click to add this one. Double-click to add this one, and this one all have to... Oh, sorry, we got 5. Any more? Yeah, 6. 6 is definitely not too bad. And it is possible that all of these contain the value of our current ammo reserves. All right, so we're going to do a little test here. I'm going to double-click this, and I'm going to change this from 27 to 28, and we're going to look in our game client to see what happens. All right, nothing happened there. So this is probably not our value. Let's try the next one. Nothing there either. 28. Oh, there we go. It changed that value. Let's change this back to 27. We're going to get rid of these 2 here. And let's keep trying to see if we have other values here. Nope. Nope. We shouldn't have another one at this point. Nope. Okay. So we found it. Let's get rid of these 3 here, and this description is going to be ammo. All right. So now we could use this to give ourselves like a clip. In the AK-47 holds 30. So we can give ourselves a full clip. Change it to 30. We could also change it to 50. Oops, sorry, that's 5. Change it to 50. Go back into the game, and it's, oh, see, look at that. It actually started counting back down from 27. So what we found was the value of the number that's displayed, but not necessarily the actual ammo reserve itself. We can also click this, and it should leave this at 15 as we go. But we can see that it's not actually, because if we shoot fast enough, there we go. We hit 0 bullets, but we're still firing. Right? So what that tells us is that there is a display value there, and the variable that we're editing is used in a function somewhere to determine whether or not our gun is out of ammunition. Right? So by changing that variable and keeping it static at 15, that function is essentially always being fed that 15, even though there's technically no bullets in the gun, and we're able to just shoot and shoot and shoot forever without ever taking our finger off the trigger. Let's go find some bears and do some shoosting here. But see, the animation is occurring, but we're not actually doing any damage. So we have 2 functions here. One of them is used in the animation. It checks to see if that value is high enough to play the animation, or if it is empty, and then it doesn't actually play the animation, and it makes a click noise. But because the clip is actually empty, we actually have a little bit of a problem here, in that it doesn't actually have a projectile. So we can play the animation all day long, but it's not actually doing any damage. It's clearly still doing some kind of firing solution calculation, because we have at our crosshairs the little sparks that go off. But it's probably not actually doing a shooting solution. It's probably really just part of the animation that it does the at the crosshairs, wherever they happen to be. The animation does the flare, the muzzle flash at the muzzle, and the ricochet at the crosshairs, and then leaves the bullet hole decal on the wall. So that's interesting. That's interesting. So we don't actually have infinite ammo. We just have the appearance of infinite ammo. So let's go back to cheat engine here, and this is not what we thought it was. Change this to display to ammo. All right. So we're gonna have to do a new scan. We're gonna have to start over here. We're gonna have to find a different approach. So we've got 81 ammo in reserve, right? So actually, let me go back here and look at that. Even though it's no longer being statically kept at 15, we broke that function. So it doesn't even there. See, now that I set it to 0, now we're just getting click, 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 and I can reload here. Now everything's back to normal. Okay. All right, so let's check out that ammo in reserve. Now we have 40. Oops, not 45. Okay. 16,523. So let's fire a bullet and reload. And now we will be at, compared to first scan, it will have decreased value by 1. Next scan. There we go. Right, we got a 44 right here. There's only one address. This ought to be it. If I go change this to 80, there we go. So now we do have 80 in reserve. If I fire a couple and reload, there we go. So that's our infinite ammo right there. It picks up right where it left off, and it does accept that variable as the ammo in reserve. So if we go back here and we change this to 100, and we keep that static at 100, now we can fire, reload, fire, reload, and we're always at 100 ammo. If we switch to our gun here, different ammo pool, apparently, right? So let's change this, AK ammo reserve, and we could do a search for the Glock as well, to change that ammo reserve. But I'm more interested in what's happening with the reloading. The ammo in the gun and the ammo in reserve are clearly two different and discrete values. We obviously also have different variables here with the amount of ammo that's displayed and some counter of the actual ammunition that's still in the gun. That might be a server-side calculation. We do know from looking in Wireshark that there is a fire packet that is sent to the server, but the fire packet probably is just what helps the server to understand the shooting solution with the position of the player and the position of the mob. I really kind of doubt that it's doing an ammo count as well, just because why would it? I mean, it's possible, but again, that's a lot more information than is normally required. So let's try to see what else is going on here. Let's go with this display to ammo, and we're going to right click and we're going to go to, let's see, how about disassemble this memory region? And here's the assembly instructions for whatever is using this. And also let's go to find out what accesses this address. Yes, attach a debugger to the process. And let's play the game. I'm going to leave this running up here in this corner and see what's happening when we do this. So we fire, reload, and now we can see what accessed that. Something is accessing it continually. Look at this. Every single tick, something is accessing our current ammo pool, whatever it is. And I don't know what that is just yet. We can go to that instruction later. But every time is that every time we fired? That says 10. Hold on, let me try that again. Bang, bang. Yeah, it's every time we fire. Yeah, every time we fire. And then on a reload. And it's different for the gun, because when we switched to the Glock, it was a different thing. So what are you every time we fire? Random float. Okay. And this is our reload. So what happens? So if we look at the assembly code here, we can see what's happening here. EDI, so 1C move, 1C EAX, or ECX and EAX 1C, move byte pointer 1C 0 by 1. So it looks like that's our counter here. This is what's happening when we fire a bullet. It's taking 1 away from our counter of current bullets. So what we could also do is we could nop that. So replace it with code that does nothing is nopping it. So what should happen, let's do that. It should be nopped. Okay. Well, we nopped it. So if we go back now, yeah, see, now when we replace that code with nothing, we've replaced the function that counts our current number of bullets with no code. So every time we fire, it's not going to take a bullet away. So that should give us infinite ammo here. Let's find a bear and make sure it's working. Oh, let's see, it's doing the same thing. Or is my client just screwed up now? No, I'm still able to kill the bear, just not with the AK. So there's something with that function. It isn't quite doing what we expect it to do. It's a little bit weird. We could mess around with this, but that's the basic idea of what we're trying to do here is we're just looking to see, number one, what accessed this address. So there's something that's doing a regular check of our current ammo reserve. There's a function every time we fire the gun. Of course, I've nopped it, so it's not showing up now. And we can see what's accessing that memory address. Exit. And we can disassemble this memory region. We can see what's going on here with the function itself. We can go through the assembly instructions and figure that out. We'll get into more of this later on. Don't worry, it will make more sense. Another thing is, as I said before, a single address isn't necessarily enough to hold a variable. So what we need to do is we need to discover the pointer path. And so we can do a pointer scan for the address. And if we do that, this will come up. And it will show us. Second, I got to save this pointer scan here. Generate a pointer map for us, and we can find the pointer path to the base address, and then that means that we can recover this variable, whatever the location happens to be, because contiguous areas in memory are hard to come by. So you have a base pointer address, and then it will dynamically allocate additional addresses as required, which won't necessarily be the exact same address the next time. So we find that base address, and then we can easily recover this variable later on in order to give ourselves infinite ammo. I do have plenty of other videos on this from last summer. So if you want to learn more about this, you can. We also will be using this more as we go out this semester. So, but this is just to show you some of the features of Cheat Engine and some of the things that you can use in order to edit these variables, give yourself infinite mana, ammo, and so on. It's going to take a little while, I guess. All right, this is going to take a little while, but that's okay. This is pretty much all I wanted to say for this video anyhow, so watch the other videos if you want more information on this, or continue to watch further videos because I will be using Cheat Engine and will be explaining what I'm doing as I go, okay? In the meantime, don't be afraid to mess around with it and just have fun searching for these variables.